Hello, thank you very much for joining our coverage of the African Cup of Nations 2023 from Ivory Coast. And today we are based in Yamoussoukro. There are matches going on in San Pedro and Korogo as well. Yesterday was match day 7. Ghana engaged Egypt, ending in a thrilling 2-2 draw. But the topic for discussion today will be a matter that is of great concern to most Ghanaians and has been extensively discussed on social media regarding the unavailability of the local players in the Black Stars squad, particularly Asante Kotoko's Richmond Lamptey, and as to why he hasn't played. And I try to inquire from sources within the team. It's not like the player is not fit. He's been passed medically fit. There is no injury, or there was no injury before Ghana's game against Egypt. So Richmond Lamptey is fit, but he's yet to even make the match day squad in the two games that Ghana has played, and this is of concern. It's been discussed, like I said, extensively and passionately on social media. And what I can say from what I gathered is that Coach Chris Hilton has said at the press conferences when asked about this particular question that he has 27 players to prepare for each game, and he decides to pick the right 18 players for a match day. Not to say some players are not important, but he looks at the opponents and the approach and picks his players. So he's not against any player, for instance, Richmond Lamptey, but he goes into the game with players that he thinks will fit the style and approach he wants to adopt for the game. But then my opinion on this local players issue is that for some time now, at least in the last decade or two, it's been very difficult for local players to break into the ranks of the Black Stars. Your friend local player be our Black Star. Very difficult for the person to get competitive action except in friendly games. And how have we gotten this far? How have we sunk to that level? We have to be very honest as well. First, the Ghana Premier League at this point, it's not amongst the top 25 on the continent. There are 54 or 55. So if you are not among the 25 on the continent, top 25 leagues on the continent, it means that half of the continent is better than your league. We all admit that there are so many challenges with our leagues. The best of talents in the league will leave even before they turn 20. And these are players at Wafa, Right to Dream, and others. No best young talent in Ghana is interested in playing in the Ghana Premier League. And we have to be very, very candid on this. Nobody in Ghana has a talent who is 16, 17, and the person's first choice or option is for the player to play in the Ghana Premier League. Because the league has so many challenges and obstacles. The level has sunk. If we don't admit, we will not fix it. One coach told me when a player from Karela was invited into the Black Stars after a backlash that the top scorer of the Ghana Premier League has not been invited into the Black Stars team. Subsequently, the player was invited, and one of the coaches around the team tells me that even the normal training regiments, passing through the drills of training, is a challenge for most of the Ghana Premier League players. So even before they join the team, they have crisis in terms of mentality. They are already thinking about how to break into the squad. There is some yoke of inferiority complex hanging around their necks when they get to the camp. They are not able to fit perfectly because they cannot even adapt to the style of training, the modernized training regiments. So the training, the coaching is a big problem in Ghana. And we see that the Ghana Premier League has become very slow. So it doesn't give the level of competition that will require players to up their game to be able to compete adequately with any player coming from any league on the continent or even in the world. We have sunk. You watch the Ghana Premier League and you question how the players are trained. Players are at the center, 50 meters from goal, and they are shooting. The passing sometimes is very horrible. There are very good players in the league, very good players, talents. But coaching is a challenge because even if you are a good talent, no coach, no top level coach who knows their salt will get you into their team when you cannot fit into the training style. There was this player, like I said, simple instructions, just follow instructions. If this one runs here, you have to cover here. This is what you need to do when this person leaves your position. When this channel becomes available, this is what you do. When we are attacking, these simple instructions and practice at the training grounds was a big problem for the player. Enti coaching nankasa ewo Ghana, coaching level no low. The type of coaching and style of play, boom, boom, boom. So you can't even have a player who has gone through the mill. If you watch Wafa, you can clearly see a Wafa player will fit into a lot of clubs in the world without struggling. So when they travel abroad or to Europe, the players from Wafa already are following the modernized training rudiments. So some of the players that we invite into the national team have the talent, all right, but we all have to admit that talent alone is not enough. Talent alone has never been enough in football. So when the players come to the national team, they are already handicapped. Not because they don't have the talent, but because they cannot follow the training. There have been coaches where they come to the Black Stars and the players mock them because the coaches, local coaches, they don't even understand the modern trends of training. Oko training ayen tembo, we are kujina ha 11 ejina ani abo 90 minutes. Those things are long gone. So before we want players from the Ghana Premier League to play in the Black Stars, even though the Black Stars is not at the level that we all want, we have to accept that the league has sunk. Look, everybody in the Ghana Premier League, there were times that if you invite a player from the Ghana Premier League, not Oba, the players from the so-called professional leagues in Europe, they will be looking over their shoulders because the local league players are so competitive. The likes of Samade are coaching, Utia Kenten, top level. There were Afrani and Co, who had gone to Brazil and other places to coach. And there was the almighty Cecil Jones Atukwefield. Those were the times. If you invite Emmanuel Osei-Kuffour or Charles Taylor or Abladikuma or all the players, Sam Johnson, they come into the Black Stars making nonsense per se of the foreign players because they all are training under same practice and processes. So when you are a foreign player and you come, you are even looking over your shoulders. You are already afraid or scared that your position is not guaranteed. Now, if you invite a local player into the Black Stars and there is a foreign player, the foreign player looks at the local player and knows that if I am in a competition with this guy, there is no way I'm going to even up my game because even the training, the normal training is serious. Look, Richmond Lamptey is incredibly talented. I've watched this guy for over 4 or 5 years from Interlice. He's been balling. He's just been unfortunate not to have the big club. The big club track to follow. If he had played for Kotoko some years back, maybe he would have been in the Black Stars long ago. But let's ask ourselves, is it only Richmond Lamptey who has joined the Black Stars and not gotten the opportunity? There were days of a 3-year ban here and co. They came to the national team with all the noise around, still not get opportunity to feature in games. Consistent performance is difficult for them. So we have to be fixing the league, the fundamentals of the league, to get back to the olden days where local players dominated. Because ordinarily, majority of your national team players or majority of your footballers across board will be in your local league. because that is where they automatically acquire the right to play. They don't need passport, they don't need ITC. So majority of your players, your top players, will ordinarily or normally be in your local league. That is not the case with Ghana. The best of talents are leaving. I want to see Richmond Lamptey play, but I also want to give the coach the benefit of doubt. Maybe in the next game against Mozambique, we would like to see Richmond Lamptey. That is touchwood. Mane Dosimina. So if Majid Ashmeru it's not fit or hasn't recovered for this game, highly talented player Richmond Lamptey. But the Ghana Premier League level, no, I'm a coach Biasro. Chris Hilton I've been watching. It didn't start from Chris Hilton. The last outfield player to have a very instrumental and significant say or play in the Black Stars was Emmanuel Clote in 2013 under Kwesi Appiah. No outfield player has had a significant stake in the Black Stars at a major tournament. None. But we used to have Sheila Iliasu from King Faisal, Habib Mohammed from King Faisal, playing against Serbia, Marek Jankulovsky, and Poboski and others. So we have to go back. There, even in the early 2000s, at the turn of the millennium, there were players in the Ghana Premier League who were standing toe to toe, boot for boot with foreign players. Sami Kofo once said, if you invite a local player into the Black Stars and you are a foreign player, you are already afraid because these guys are coming in with one, hunger, and two, determination, and three, they are at the top level. Hasselfolk, compete. They are beating Esperance, Ali, away. So if you have the players and the talents there, and they are competing in the Champions League and winning consistently, the player will come to the national team and the coaching is good. It will be very easy for them to get their stay. In 2022, when we went to the AFCON in Cameroon, all the local players failed to have a single match day appearance or selection. Why is it so? I want to see Richmond Lamptey. I want to see Fatau Hamidu. Imagine our left back, right back are playing in the local league. We would all like it. But the noise should be directed at most of the people saying that they don't even watch the local league. They don't watch because they think the local league is not good enough. So Richmond Lamptey has a place in the Black Stars. His talent is at that level. He's played with Majid Ashimeru and co at Wafa. They know his talent and caliber. But the only thing drawing him back is the fact that staying in the local league has hindered or has been an encumbrance on his development. And that's a fact. We used to have young players, young talents, sweet talents from the courts or court football or from the amateur leagues or from the reserve sides where Joado, Ismailado and other players Danopon came from. When they enter the national team, you can clearly see the pattern of growth. Michael Essien and co played for Liberty Professionals because they have played in the coach system trained by some of the best coaches in the local scene. Then when they make that transition into the national team, you can see from their development that they understand. So when the local players go to Europe, especially for our top scorers, how many of them have been able to make an impact in any, not the A-class European leagues, not the top level European leagues. I'm talking about the B-class, C-class, even in Serbia, even in Austria. Our top players go to African countries and they fail to perform. So can we blame the Black Stars coaches for that as well? When there is an issue, we need to tackle it from the roots. Because you cannot select Dombote into the Black Stars and say he won't play, he won't make the match they scored. No, that's impossible. You can't select Emmanuel Kofo or Sai Kofo and say he can't make the Black Stars squad. No, because the players from foreign players, professionals, they know him already. How was it possible for Hasselfolk and Kotoko or Hasselfolk comprising of 10 or 11 players meeting Nigeria in a World Cup qualifier and playing a goalless draw? against likes of Kano, Taribo West. Can that be the issue today? Can that be the practice today? No. So the league has been sinking. The league has been sinking. So players who play in the league, despite their talent, are limited. Their development is curtailed or slowed by the level of the league, the pitches they play on. Not to say those in the Black Stars are some extraordinary, but when you go to a driving school, you may know how to drive. You can drive from Accra to Abidjan non-stop. But when they put the theory in front of you, or when they put the practicality of how to drive, and you don't need to turn back, you need to look through your driver's mirror, you need to do this, you need to do that before you start your ignition and all that. When you don't do the petty basic elements of it, it will be assumed that you don't know how to drive, because driving is not just sitting behind the steering wheel and going. Driving is not just hitting the accelerator. So the talent you have will not be enough if you do not fit, if you cannot follow the process of how to get onto the field by training. I would love to see Richmond Lamptey play, but we also have to admit that the league is sinking. The league is sinking, and so the players who play in the league have been lacking substance. They are talented, but talent will not be enough. There were times that local players will come to the Black Stars. You read the stories and you clearly can see the talents in there. Now we can't even have a goalkeeper from the local league. So everybody knows that I am an advocate for this local inclusion. But I am also saying that you have to deserve this on merit. It has to be on merit, absolute merit. You can't go and sit on the bench and say, we just wanted to include you like a quota or parliamentary selection system. No. You have to deserve it on merit. So the fixing of the league will offer us a large pool of players to select from. Imagine Ratomir Djukovic going to the World Cup and having as many as 7-8 local players in his squad, with the luxury of putting some on the reserve squad. Aziz Ansah, Dankwe, Yusuf Chepsa, all of them were part of the local league. And those who got the opportunity in the World Cup squad did not only sit on the bench on the match day squad, they played against some of the top teams in the tournament and excelled. We have to go back to that, because we all want Richmond Lamptey and Fatau Hamidu to play. We have seen some players on the field here in Cameroon. We've seen some players on the field here in Cameroon who do not deserve in terms of talent. In terms of talent alone, there are players. I will not mince words. They don't rank. They don't rank when you put them side by side with Richmond Lamptey in terms of talent. Like a player touches the ball, turns, and you can see the talent in there. They don't come anywhere near Richmond Lamptey's talent. But how to get onto the field? When we move, what do we do? When these players move, what do we do? When we want to change direction, the shape of our team, it's all about those things. So the coach will trust that you know how to play the game. When we pass to you, you can clearly pass back. But these basic errors or elementary processes that we need to go through at training grounds that you don't even understand, that we have to explain to you before you understand, that it takes you a longer time to appreciate that when your position is there is the ball around your position, you have to leave this to do this, you don't even appreciate those things. So the talent will be waste. Somebody with little or no talent will be in your position because they know about these basic principles of the game. Like I'm saying, when you go to school and you say you are clever, they will put the paper in front of you and say do this and do that and do that. It depends on how you answer the question, not that you understand. How you answer the question, that will actually elevate that will actually open up to the lecturer how you understand it. It is not by you assuming that you are clever. That is what I'm saying. Exactly my point. Say, if you want us to say local players should play, coaching should be top notch, infrastructure should be top notch, the players' talent should be sharpened enough, not at the level where they play in the Ghana Premier League, but when they are in the academies or on the coach system. All our best coaches have left the country. Not left, most of them are deceased. Some of the best coaches we've had on the continent were from Ghana, and they are deceased. Who are taking over from Samade, Kosia Frane, from building talent from grassroots? We don't. When I go back to say these things, people get infuriated. But this is the only way we can go back. We don't want the long process of doing things. We always want to do the quick fixes. We would like to see Richmond Lamptey, but it's not a matter of Richmond Lamptey alone. I've seen a series of this. About 10 or 7 coaches, 7 to 10 coaches who have come to the Black Stars, being forced or being under pressure to invite local players. Some of them have played them and it didn't end well. Do you remember the Hasselhoff captain who was fielded in a AFCON qualifier against South Africa and came back saying he was so jittery to the point, even in the stadium that was empty. Look, when our players go to Morocco to play in the CAF Champions League of Confederation, they hit the field and they start shaking and being whipped by 6 goals, 7 goals. So the players in the Black Stars may not be good enough on the field. They lack the talent. Ghana, you didn't born, you will be all talent. But any man, what near starting game, no. Yeah, the 2 paper so near translate your field. Or your paper in there, and even though so field and so on to me, you, but what paper na see because you're training. That's our problem. The local players who are not getting the chance, from what I've gathered, lot of petty things. Not to say that is what it's hampering Richmond Lamptey's inclusion. He is a very excellent player, but we need to resolve the fundamental problem. Coaching. A lot of coaches in the Ghana Premier League, on chambo, titaniama, things have changed. And to be who's a coach, Chris Hilton on a board, on your who, what you say, board on a new who, but or stick it to the board or no, or stick it to the board, one fan to form into a case move. 8 in the movie akoha, we movie akoha, near the coach training now, you movie now call left, now call right. You'll be a call right, now by left. Obaka said, the bang now beat me, I think fast. If you are born, the only bop. But knowing how to play and the talent alone is not enough. Let's hope that we come back stronger. And I wish to see Richmond Lamptey, Fatau, and Jonathan Soa in the Black Stars game. But and when they play today, they must excel. But we have deep-seated problems that we need to fix. Thank you.